Well, hello. And you see what I have here? A light. Why? This is very dark in here. And this is a new pinball game that we just got from Spooky Pinball. And it's called Evil Dead. And I'm going to do like a little review of this. And I have to have a light. I have to have a little review, a light because it's super dark. And, you know, and that's my biggest complaint about Spooky. They need to put more lights on the game. And that's one of the flaws, I think, of this game. That's probably one of the only flaws. I have a couple things that I don't like. But mostly, I think this game is insanely cool. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about pinball. I mean, we're here in our secret bar. Hey, can you turn on the lightning? Let's see the lighting. I'm here with Alex. Say hello, Alex.
Hi, Larry.
Okay, so we're here at the Darkness, and we've built this secret bar, and you can see Alex is over there watching WWE. WrestleMania. And then we're going to get these programmed, and they're going to be on a button, and they're going to talk to people. And you can see Edgar Allan Poe's over there. And this is our secret bar here at the Darkness. And we're in here. Oh, look at that. Lightning. Isn't that cool? And there's all kinds of eclectic things to look at in here. And so you got alcohol. And one of the things that we have in here too now is an ice machine. Look at all that ice. We have a washer and dryer. Did you turn it off now?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to talk about the Evil Dead. We're going to give a review from somebody who actually knows horror. And I think most of the people who have given a review of Evil Dead in the pinball community, they don't know anything about horror, honestly. But I'm going to tell you what I think about it. And while I'm at it, I'm going to talk about like a little bit about the other pinball games that have come out recently. And I'm going to come right back and really quickly, I'm coming out here in the light. So I wanted to say that just a few things about Stern Pinball. This King Kong, I think the layout is really cool on it, but it's a super corny theme. It's just beyond belief corny, and it's not licensed to anything. It's kind of like a public domain version of King Kong, besides the fact that King Kong just really not that popular. And if you were to do King Kong, why wouldn't you have done like, you know, the 30 movie, the black and white? It would have been so great. But why King Kong? And when Stern's wondering why they're not selling pinball machines, well, because you keep picking themes nobody wants to buy. And even though it's a Keith Elwin and the layout's really cool, I just don't think anybody's going to really want this game. Because the artwork is kind of corny. The CGI, it might be the worst CGI I've ever seen on a Stern pinball machine. I mean, it might even be worse than Avengers, because that was really bad. So, and the King Kong that's just stomping around, he makes no sense. He's just taking up playfield space, really, because I thought that was like the most important thing. Especially for like, you know, a game designed by Keith Elwin, is like, let's keep every inch of the playfield free for shots and whatever. But instead we have this like goofy looking King Kong. But I can tell you from a theming standpoint, I just think the game is terrible. It's like, I don't even remember what the name of the game is. It's called King Kong, you know, Island of something. Okay. Because for those who don't know, one aspect of King Kong that's licensed is Skull Island, King Kong Skull Island, because it was like artwork and maybe a book or something. So that's something you would have to license. But here's what I would say. If you really wanted to do King Kong and you wanted to have it as a complement to Jurassic Park or Godzilla, why didn't you just license the King Kong vs. Godzilla, you know, the movie, the Skull Island movie that came out, and just do it off that? So at least you have assets. You know, Stern, when you look at all the games that you've made recently that have done better than the ones that have really done terrible are the ones that have no assets, like X-Men, Venom, You screwed up the assets on John Wick, but did anybody really want a John Wick pinball? Apparently not, because you can't sell them. You can't sell Venom because people are marveled out. But, you know, the games that have assets like Jaws did better. You know, not as good as Batman 66, not as good as Metallica, which you're doing a round 2 on. But I just don't think King Kong, that this is the game you want for $13,000 and making almost 1,000 LEs. What are you, crazy? You think there's 1,000 people that want to pay $13,000 for a corny King Kong game? Look, I know that it's Keith Elwin and the layout looks fun and exciting and great, but the theming it's horrible. It's got like a gong thing in the front and a spider to the left of it. And then in the back, it's got planes and a King Kong, and he's supposed to be in a city. And there's a subway right behind the, I mean, it's like, if it's called the island or whatever it's called, why didn't you just go straight? He's on an island and he fights a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a giant spider and just keep it all like he's in the jungle. And then you could have had the big wall, you know, made of giant wood lumber, you know, to keep him out and whatnot. And you break through that wall and King Kong comes out. That would have made more sense. But you try to like mix New York and a jungle together in a small playfield. Like, it makes no sense. I think it's a disaster. It looks cluttery and it looks rushed. And here's a rumor for you. I heard that Stern's next 2 titles are worse in terms of a perception of a license. Because that's what I call King Kong. It's a perception of a license. Because theoretically, he's supposed to be public domain, but, you know, I'm not 100%. I don't think that this is licensed. I mean, they could have licensed something and got assets. And by the way, when you made Venom, maybe you should have licensed the movies. I'm not saying they're hugely popular, but they're more popular than what you did. Okay. Same with X-Men. Why didn't you just license the X-Men movies? Disney would have gladly licensed those movies to you. But Stern, listen, you're just picking the worst themes. And here's the problem. Here's the real problem. Harry Potter is about to take a gigantic semi-truck and run King Kong right over, and it'll be splattered on the ground. Because Harry Potter is a great theme. Even if the game isn't as good layout-wise as King Kong's just not going to be able to stack up, because one game is $13,000, and then eventually you'll want people to buy a topper, of course. So you might as well just say they're $15,000. And then you have Harry Potter coming out, which is a theme people actually want. And then I wanted to address this Barrels of Fun. Like, holy cow. Look, nobody's going to argue that you really put a lot of effort into the game and you did a lot with the theming to try to make it look like the world of Dune. But who the hell wants a Dune pinball? And you think you're going to sell 1,000 of these? I don't think so. I think if Barrels of Fun would be lucky if they sold 300 of these things. How many people are lined up to spend $11,000 to buy a Dune pinball? And by the way, Barrels of Fun, next time you do a promo, like, because that was the worst promo I've ever seen, where the ball, like, you're actually hearing, it's almost like you have the glass off and you can hear the ball clank around and you can hear the flippers clank around. It just sounded terrible. But, I mean, look, I'm not going to say that the game doesn't look cool. It does look cool, but I don't want to spend $11,000 to buy a Dune pinball machine. If the rumor was true that you had Goonies, you would sell all 1,000 on day one. But with Dune, how many people want to pay $11,000 to buy Dune? At the same time that Stern put out their corny King Kong, and you know, they've got a lot of dealers out there pushing it. And then Jersey Jack, for the first time, they actually got smart. And they released, they let people know ahead of time that, yes, indeed, we have Harry Potter. First, they mentioned it at Texas Pinball Festival. Jack went ahead and said, yeah, we have Harry Potter. And then they put out a promo to beat King Kong and Barrels of the Fun to the punch. They're basically saying, look, if you only have money for one machine, you better wait until Harry Potter comes out. That's the big problem. Kaneda has it all wrong. He thinks like you shouldn't have released your Dune on top of King Kong. I think the Dune is better in terms of like if you want it something based on an asset, the Dune is better than the King Kong. But with that being said, who the hell wants King Kong and who wants Dune? Especially when Harry Potter is around the corner. Like, are you kidding? Releasing Dune on top of King Kong, a cheesy, corny King Kong, that's not going to hurt Dune. What's going to hurt Dune is right after these two get released in just a week or so, the hammer drops. Harry Potter. And this is the problem Stern's going to have. They have literally been bleeding over there with these bad themes they're making. But you know what they have benefited from? Nobody's put out anything anybody wants to buy. Nobody wanted Godfather. Nobody wants Elton John. Nobody wanted Toy Story 4. Nobody wanted Avatar, which is another disaster. I mean, I could have told them that. I'm like, are you crazy? Who wants an Avatar pinball? Okay? But you know what? This is the first time that Stern is going to try to release a brand new game at the same time Barrels of Fun has Dune. And I'm sure Stern is taking a deep breath going, thank God it's Dune and not Goonies. And then on top of that, you have Chicago Gaming announced that they're going to put 1,000 more Medieval Madnesses out in the world, and people actually like that game. And then you have Harry Potter. So now you have really tough choices. Very few people are going to buy Dune. It certainly won't be 1,000, so you better line up that next game. And I don't think that King Kong is going to have any lasting staying power because of the fact that people are going to spend their money on Harry Potter. So I think Harry Potter is going to be getting made literally for an eternity. And I don't think it's going to slow down. I think it's going to dominate the pinball sales world. I think it's going to make Jersey Jack the #1 pinball company in terms of like orders on the books. They'll be #1 for the first time, like over Stern. And because I just don't think their orders are going to be there for King Kong. I mean, I think Stern's going to sell 600-ish LEs. They're going to sell very few pros and very few premiums, and then they're going to have to switch over to the next game again, which then I guess it's going to be a remake of Walking Dead. But who the hell wants Walking Dead just because you add clips? Walking Dead is dead. It's a TV show that's dead. If you're going to remake something, it should be AC/DC. But Stern, you got to like seriously get on the stick here because you're in big trouble because you took your customers for granted. That's what you did. You took your customers for granted because during COVID, it didn't matter what you put out, people just bought it. And I get it. But now that's not happening anymore. So Stern, if you have bad licenses coming up after King Kong, I suggest you dump them and get some better ones. You know, I've suggested many times to do like Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore. You need to think about comedy, Animal House, Three Stooges. I think Three Stooges would sell like Batman 66 did because everybody my age grew up watching that. And we would want a Three Stooges pinball. Where's Nirvana? Where's Molly Crew, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne? I mean, hell, why not? Leonard Skinner, Eagles. There's so many bands to choose from. The biggest one you could do would be Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, but nobody touches pop. I don't know why. They have a bigger fan base, bigger social media presence to promote such a thing. But it is what it is. I mean, I love Stern. I love Stern Pinball, but like, this is the first LE I have not bought because I just said, I'm going to buy it. It's going to be worth $3,000 less 10 minutes after I take it out of the box. No thanks. And I'm having a lot of trouble selling some used games that I have. There's just not a big market out there right now for pinball. And I think the only thing that matters now is theme. So, getting back to the Evil Dead Pinball, which we're going to go take a look at, I wanted to say to Stern specifically, you should get back to horror. Why not? You should go license Scream. Scream would outsell all of these themes that Spooky has gotten because Scream's just more popular. And I think it's more popular than Walking Dead, probably 4-1. So something I would consider getting Scream. Games that I would like to see Spooky do if they're going to keep doing horror. They've done Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They've done Evil Dead, which is really just a cult movie. It's not super popular, but it's super popular with the fans. is Friday the 13th. I would love to see Friday the 13th, or a new Nightmare on Elm Street would be nice. But if the rumor is true that Spooky has Beetlejuice, and that's coming up here real soon, whoo, Stern, you're in big trouble, because now you used to write these companies off, and I would agree with you, but not anymore. And so now getting to the Evil Dead review, and I wanted to say this first. I did buy a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm going to do a review of that. A couple things, Spooky, that I don't like about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's too red. The side walls, the side art probably should have been the interior of the house, or, you know, it should have been sections of the house, like, you know, where the people are hanging, you know, in the freezer. The LEDs are like all red, and you have no lighting in the back half of the game. I mean, that is a game that desperately needs to be brightened up. You cannot see the whole second half of the game. Now, one way you might be able to fix that is to reprogram with a code update and make more of the LEDs that blink instead of red, instead make them white, so it brightens the game up. But you have a really bad glare problem too, even on Evil Dead, and I'm going to show it to you. It's a horrible glare that makes like the last third of the pinball game where you can literally not see it, okay? And so I think this is an issue. And then when you look at a lot of Sterns, you know, they'll have those posts with lights in them. I think that you need them on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you need them on Evil Dead. I think that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a really cool game, especially if you could see. If you could see it better. You need more lighting. You need, like Stern's doing expression lighting. You need something. And then you did like some of the mechs so high up, I don't even see how you could get like Penn Stadium in there. But you need more lights. You need more lights. In terms of Evil Dead, and we're going to go in and look at the game, what do I not like about it? I do not like the fact that you can't see. Like, you cannot see the back third of the game. It's basically dark. You have no lights inside of the game, and then all of your modes and the way you're lighting and programming the LEDs, they're dark, so it doesn't help. So I don't like that. I think you do need to brighten it up, even though you're trying to get that whole theme across that it's scary. So I don't like that. The other thing I really don't like is it needs more music. It needs more. It's almost like you just hear Bruce Campbell talking and you don't hear nothing else. I also think that Bruce Campbell was very monotone in his call outs. So that's another thing. I think maybe he needed a little bit better direction to act a little bit more like he would in the movie. But with that being said, that's all I don't like. Now let's come in here and look at this game, and let's talk about what I do like, because there's a lot. So first off, here's the first thing I like. You got Christopher Franchi, who I think is the single best pinball artwork designer in the world. Okay. Another thing is these side rails. Oh, my camera went out. Not my camera, but my light. What the hell? Is there any light that we have, like a flashlight? This thing is not working. What the heck is wrong with this? Now you can see this is like a chainsaw blade. And that was really cool. Now, you know what I would say on Texas Chainsaw Massacre? You should have had a grip that was a chainsaw right here that you grab and you pull the button. And then the side should have been a chainsaw connected to it. That would have been really cool. Here we go. All right. Now, on this game, the artwork is off the chain. Okay? Christopher Franchi is hands down the single best pinball artist in the world. Now, you'll notice on this game, I got their what they call butter cabinet, so it's like, you see how it's glossy and slick, kind of the way Jersey Jack does theirs as well. But the artwork is, I mean, the artwork is insane. I'm just going to call a spade on that. It's really insane. And I really like how they did the themed side rails to look like a chainsaw. But then again, like I said on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it would have been really cool if you would have done like a mod or where you hold on to the chainsaw. And see, then this would have been different. It would have come all the way over here to where it looked like you were holding the chainsaw. Now, since we're looking at the side of the game, that's really cool too. They have a secret little flipper and you have to control, instead of like say on a stern, you press the button and it moves all the flippers, but not on this one. You have to have a little bit more skill to hit the other flipper. Now, I'm just going to say that I am big on theming. Now, one of the things that Spooky did really well on this game was they came out and they recognized, hey, it's Evil Dead. We realize there's not a ton of fans for Evil Dead, like say there would be for Scream, or maybe even Friday the 13th. And they came out and they did a very limited run, and they made it, they created so much FOMO that it sold out super fast. I think they could have sold at least 200 more, because when people play it, they're blown away. Now I have to say, and I know this is going to sound like a cheap shot at Spooky, but when you look, I thought that Halloween game was just, it was not good. The artwork wasn't good, the design of the game wasn't good, the CGI on the screen wasn't good. There wasn't a lot good about it, okay? And so when you look at where they went from there to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're like, wow, this is a huge jump. But this is a whole nother jump right here, because number one, the artwork, this is the best. Christopher Franchi's the best artist in pinball, period. And you know, one of the biggest complaints about like King Kong is the artwork is super, super cheesy, because it is. How many times are you going to have this like cartoon artwork again and again and again and again? Okay. And Christopher Franchi doesn't do that. He has photorealism art. So like, even when you look at this, obviously he drew it, but it looks kind of real / like you can tell it's art. I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to say this. If I would have bought Halloween and then you didn't tell me who made this, I would not know it was Spooky Pinball. I would not know. That's the leap they've taken. And then they have this topper up here that's interactive, and I guess it runs by a motor, and there's modes, and see, it moves up and down. And see, you have Henrietta up there. That's pretty freaking cool, I would say. They've done much better with the CGI. Look at the speakers. They have the metal cutout speaker cover on there, which is really cool. They have artwork right here, which is not typical of a stern, which is really nice. They do have a mirrored back glass, as you can see. You can hear me touching it. But you know where they really nailed this game is the theming. And you know what's crazy is they went ahead and did it as a wide body. Kudos to Spooky. But here you've got the tape player, where they literally get the hear what really happened, you know, when he plays the tape, and the chants. This is supposed to be a double sawed-off shotgun. That's why it's got 2 plungers, not 1, which is really cool. There's the rest of the shotgun, and you can actually hit those and push them in. You've got a lower play field, because if you've seen the movie, you know, he has to go down into the cellar to get the pages of the book. So, of course, they've got that. They've got Henrietta that'll pop up out of the cellar. Then they have these monsters, almost like in Medieval Madness, that pop out as well. You've got the cabin as a ball lock, which is really, really cool. Here's a homage to the car driving over the bridge, if you've ever seen the movie. You know, that's actually, for those who don't know, the director, Sam Raimi, who directed Spider-Man and all of that, that's his car. And he puts that car in every movie he's made. So every movie he's made, his Oldsmobile or whatever that is, has been in the movie, which is actually really funny. And then here is Bruce Campbell's girlfriend. Remember, he chops her head off, but she still talks. Okay, and there she is. And then this is what I was talking about, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The difference. Do you see how Frenchie did the artwork? So there's the vortex, like at the end of the movie. Okay. And it kind of looks like you're on the inside of the house. And I wish they would have done that. And it is the inside of the house, because you see there's a door and there's wood beams. You know, you're inside the cabin. So Frenchie understands theming better than whoever did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you see right here, there's the house and the demons on the outside looking in. See, this is like pieces of the house. This is how, honestly, they should have done Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay? But don't get me wrong, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really good. Now, one of the cool features of this game is these pop-up targets that say groovy, because if you've never watched Evil Dead and you don't know anything about Evil Dead, one of the things that makes the movie so cool is that Bruce Campbell, it's a horror movie, but he's also funny. And he's mostly funny in Army of Darkness, which is the third movie. But at one point he cuts his hand off, okay, and his hand tries to kill him many times. And that's why he has the chainsaw, which you'll see right there, and it's on the hand that's been cut off. And so he always has that chainsaw. But this hand sliding back and forth, protected by these drop targets, very clever. And I'm just going to say that the layout is super fun. You know what the game really reminds me of, to be completely honest, is like Alien. So it's a wide body, and it's fully packed and fully loaded. The only difference between this and Alien, because when you think about Alien, they did a really good job bringing the theme through, right? So they've done the same thing here. I would call this game like a kitchen sink game. It's like everything that needs to be in the game to say we made a game based on Evil Dead is in the game. And I think that is what it boils down to, really. But here's the problem, Spooky. You really need like a light post here shining on the house. You need another one kind of shining back here. And this screen really reflects into the glass, preventing you from seeing very well the back half of the playfield. Do you see how the whole game is just super, super dark? Okay, it needs more lighting. And I think one of the ways they can fix that is with a code, instead of it being dark colors, make them brighter colors like white and so on and so forth. So, and over here, as you can see, we have the monsters. And you see this game, you can see it much, much, much better. I can see every shot in the back. But over here, I cannot. I see the speaker-like glare. Depending on where you're standing, you can literally see in there the head. One of the things they might want to do with the head is to have it angled back a little bit, okay? If you could do a redesign slightly where the back glass is angled backwards just a tad, because it's terrible on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and it's terrible on this game as well. And the other thing is you really need Big League Invisiglass, or you need to get lighting in here. There needs to be lighting in here. Like, you can't even see what's going on back here. So if you want to play your pinball with minimal lighting, I mean, you're screwed. Okay? This game needs more light. I mean, and when I say more light, I mean a lot. And so does Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, one of the things I will say to Barrels of Fun's benefit is the back of the back box. Why can't like Spooky and Stern or Jersey Jack start putting TV screens in there the way Barrels of the Fun did? But, you know, really the idea came from, you know, the people who did the Tron mods. So, anyway, long and short, hey, Alex. Hey, can you play this game a little bit? Here's the long and short, and I'm just going to state. And then we're going to come back and we'll see the game playing a little bit. I'm just going to state this, okay? What do I rate this game? Well, aside from the lighting, I mean, you know, if I rated it a 10, Dave Portnoy will say that's a rookie score. I'm just going to say this. I'm shocked that Spooky did this, because when I look at their other games, especially like Scooby-Doo, it's so basic. This game is very complex. There's a lot of mechanical mechanisms that literally aren't there just to kind of look cool, like saying King Kong, oh, we got a monkey, you know, like thrashing his hands around. The mechs in this game were put in there to enhance the story, the theming of Evil Dead. This Evil Dead game, even if you don't like Evil Dead, is so fun and so incredible. I am literally going to just go out on a limb here and say, this is, first off, it's by far the best Evil Dead game that's ever come out. And I would say, in terms of layout and so on and so forth, again, it's very similar to like Alien. But I would give this game, I would say this is their best game. I would say that it's better than anything Jersey Jack has put out over the last 2 years. I'm going to just say, especially from somebody who likes Evil Dead, and that plays into the rating. If you don't like Evil Dead, how could you rate it super high, right? Because the theme doesn't appeal to you. But I would say this game is like a... And the rating is based on the theme. Did you nail the theme? And is it a fun game? Yes, it's very fun. This game is like... The only reason I don't give this game a 10 is because the lighting is so poor. They need more lighting in the game. And I think the sound could be improved a little. But this game's a 10. This is by far the greatest horror game that's ever come out. That's for sure. But this game, if you can get your hands on one, I think this is one of the games where you never sell it. And when you think about the environment of pinball right now, where everything's depressed, I don't think anybody's going to sell an Evil Dead for less than they paid for it, because I don't think they really want to sell it. It's that cool. So let's go and look at a little bit of Alex playing the game. I got a flashlight here to kind of highlight some things. Now here's where they really need to change the lighting. Do you see this? They need to reprogram that to be white. That would help. What do you think of this game, Alex?
It's fun. It is very dark.
It's very dark. But they could fix it with these lights they put right there and just literally keep them on and keep it white. See how it's like really bright? Now all of a sudden you can see. You can see everything. But then when it changes to green, you can't see. That's funny. And look at the hand move over here. That's freaking hilarious.
To start a mode. Get her fingers itchy.
And the cabin, like I was saying, is
Give me back my
the hammock or whatever it is, the chair, it rocks. Now see, look, the lights go off, and now you see this right here? That's this. That's what you see.
Thanks for tagging along. It was
And see, there's the car.
irresponsible and dangerous, wasn't it?
Now see, this is what I'm talking about with Bruce Campbell. He doesn't talk like that. He doesn't talk like that in the movies. So I think that he should have been instructed to talk a little differently. And you know what else is cool is this thing right here actually works, which is hilarious.
It loses its charm after a while. So
And these shotgun shells, like hitting the shotgun shells, is hilarious. There's really nothing not to like about this game. And you know, maybe Stern can take a cue, because look what Spooky did. They have colored rubbers on the flippers, and they have flipper bats on the game as well. So they really went all out to try to make it Evil Dead. The game is just a load of fun. And like I said, I would call it the kitchen sink game. I would call it the kitchen sink games because they put everything in the kitchen sink in the game. And now I also believe that there's two different, they've got Evil Dead 1 and 2, but I'm not sure because I haven't played it enough to understand. But there's the Book of the Dead.
Next time.
And by the way, Spooky's not as good as Jersey Jack or Stern at CGI, but they've made significant progress. But in terms of theming and understanding why someone would want to buy an Evil Dead pinball game, when nobody would have ever thought to make Evil Dead Pinball. Nobody would have ever thought of that. But if you were, and you wanted to sell this to Evil Dead fans, which clearly they did, you got to like nail the theme. You got to understand the theme, and clearly they did. So thanks for playing that, Alex. All right. Well, there you go. There's my review of Evil Dead. And I want to do a review, too, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that's the game they made before this one. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is actually a really good game. They did a really good job on it, but again, you can't see. You can't see the back half of the playfield, which I hope they maybe will fix with some coating by making the LEDs brighter rather than darker. It's too red. The other thing I would say to Spooky is stop. Yeah, I don't think you need to powder coat the ramps and the rails. I think, I think it's good that they're actually silver. And I think maybe one of them or something like that. But the ramps too, it's overdone on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, giving the whole playfield too much of a red feel. And you need a little bit more contrasting colors. This game, which was done by Christopher Franchi, is full of contrasting colors. And it's so much that, if this doesn't win Game of the Year, which I don't know what they're going to do with Harry Potter, so we're going to wait and see. And it doesn't matter if Harry Potter outsells Evil Dead, because I'm assuming it will. And I'm assuming King Kong is obviously going to outsell, this game. Doesn't matter. I just can't see how Evil Dead doesn't get Game of the Year for 2025. That would be a travesty if they didn't, because I highly doubt that Harry Potter is going to top this. I think that Spooky has literally thrown down the gauntlet, and you have to ask yourself, well, if you were Stern, you're maybe not concerned if they keep licensing things like Evil Dead, but what if they license Beetlejuice? Because that's the rumor, that they have Beetlejuice. Spooky, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't limit Beetlejuice. Just make them till the wheels fall off. I think that's a theme. You'll probably sell 2,000 copies, 3,000 copies. Beetlejuice is huge. And this is a theme that Stern turned down for Munsters. Like, what were you thinking? This goes to show, again, Stern is just totally not connected to the pinball community. They have no clue what to license. Go license Fast and Furious, okay? At least you'll have something that you can design a pinball game around, and people like cars. Okay, go get Fast and Furious, okay? Do something and stop doing all of these themes nobody wants. Spooky, I think a lot of people would have said Evil Dead is a theme people don't want. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. And this is something that Stern doesn't understand, that's for sure. And Jersey Jack really didn't either when they did Godfather. Nobody cares about Godfather. That's a movie that's overrated and no one cares about it anymore. Because they've had better ones like Casino, Pulp Fiction, okay? No one cares about Godfather. It'll put you to sleep. We want games that, we quote lines from the game. We want games where we want to watch multiple times. Can you imagine getting Caddyshack? All the lines in there. It's like, you'll get nothing ain't like it. It's like, hey, you must have been something before electricity. It's like, it just goes on and on and on. And everybody who likes golf would want to buy that game. But imagine if Spooky actually starts saying, you know what, we've caught up. Because I think they have. This game shows they've caught up. And with their deal with Christopher Franchi doing the artwork for their next 3 or 4 games, you already know the artwork's going to be on par or better than their competitors. On par or better. Because Avatar artwork wasn't that cool. King Kong's artwork is like, haven't we seen this like 3,000 times already? Christopher Franchi used to work for Stern. Too bad Stern doesn't recognize they need to get him back, because their games just don't have the same eye appeal anymore. But man, if Spooky gets a license, like what if Spooky goes out and gets Animal House? What if Spooky were to get Three Stooges? What if Spooky were to get Beastie Boys? What if Spooky went out and got Nirvana? People aren't going to care if it came from Stern, Jersey Jack, or Spooky. They're just going to want it. And if they can nail the theme on any of those themes, like they nailed the theme on Evil Dead, I would say, Stern, you're in big trouble. Because Spooky maybe is a company that you just blew off as a niche company. But no, they just made a statement with this Evil Dead that they're here to stay, and they know what they're doing. And they have the ability to pump these games out now. When you go back and you look at one of their first games, which was America's Most Haunted, or Rob Zombie, And you look at this, they're just like, holy cow, there's a new sheriff. Maybe he's not in town yet, but he's on the way. So I am really excited to see Spooky's next game. And I would only say to Spooky, again, make the games brighter. And just, obviously keep working with Christopher Franchi, obviously. And I think he's probably bringing something to the table, too, about the theming. And this is good, because Christopher Franchi is a creative artist. Spooky is for real now. They are for real. And even though Evil Dead is a cult theme, if they get out of this, of doing cult movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead, and they start doing things like, what if they got Die Hard? What if they were to get Back to the Future? Okay? People would be excited because they saw what they did with Evil Dead. But you know what your problem is now, Spooky? You've set the bar super high now. So whatever you do next, you got to top it. And I look forward to seeing it. This is an exciting day. This Evil Dead is something else. Congratulations, Spooky Pinball. I thought you made a giant leap with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but now you have really gone over the top. And I think the missing piece for you was Christopher Franchi. Good luck, happy Halloween, and I would say to anybody who loves haunted houses like me, and you have a haunted house, you should seek out one of these Evil Dead pinball games because they're just that beautiful. From our secret bar here at the Darkness, and this is where the queue line is for the secret bar, I say, happy haunting.